Hey guys, this is E with Scrapbooking with me, and let me turn my lights on. Hold on, I'm sorry. I forgot it was so dark in here because we have just had a storm come through. So you people in Georgia, watch out, it's coming your way. A lot of lightning, so be very careful. But we're going to make these today, and these are just little hanging tags. And this is from last Friday, not today, but last Friday's digital. And then this is just some paper that I had in my stash. So I'm going to do some of those. It's going to be quick and easy. You're going to say, oh my goodness, anybody can do that. Yeah, anybody can. So I love these size tags for little pockets and little tucks. But sometimes I want one a little bit bigger to use on my projects. So what we're going to do is use one of these for the little hanging tag. Now you can make a hanging tag any size that you want. So I am probably going to use this one. It's got some blue. That one I did two completely different colors, but you can do them any way that you want. Do them, you know, to match your journal, just whatever you've got going on. Now I'm going to go ahead and line the back of this one before I trim it, I think. That way I'll have a little bit of edge there that I can follow. Yeah, I think Texas sends their weather to Texas and Arkansas, Mississippi sends their weather to us, and then we send it on to Georgia. Georgia and North Carolina and South Carolina. We send it on to you guys, so it's coming and it's bad. Unless it breaks up between here and there, and it could very well do that. But it was, now it didn't last real long, but oh my goodness, at the rain and the lightning. I mean, I got off my computer there for a little while because I was like, nah, I don't want to get fried. But I mean, the rain at my front yard looks just like a pond. Lots and lots of rain. Okay, so I cut that out, and we'll just put some ink around it. Yeah, this size tag is great, and the good thing about it is you can print these as many times as you want. So I can also print these and use them for little tuck pockets. But these I'm going to use my big tags for. Use my punch from my sweet friend. I didn't have a punch that punched that complete circle, and I didn't get it centered perfectly or it would have done it right. But so she sent me this one, and now it punches that whole circle out. And then I'm going to use, this is a new digital that the YouTube members got today. They got 10 pages of this. This is just one page of it. I've got more printing, but I thought I would use some of this on there. This is very pretty. It's called, and I probably will put it up in the store too. It's called Midnight Floral. It's got lots of deep blues in it. Well, look at that. And then this is just the backing from some ephemera. I save all of those and I use them for my tags. So not too thick, and they give the tag a little bit of substance. I like to say that word wrong, substance. And you know, I like my tags a little bit thicker than normal. I don't like them real thin, where they bend. Okay, we're gonna go, I think, like that. And hopefully I got that straight-ish. I also put up freebies for Buy Me a Coffee members and Ko-fi members. I caught up on all of those freebies today. So if you're a member of any of those, go and check it out because your freebies are there. And if it stops printing in time, I'll show you the freebies for the Buy Me a Coffee and Ko-fi. Now, like I said, this is only one page of this one. There's 10 pages. And I only printed 3 or 4, so I knew I didn't need all of them. Isn't that pretty, though? Gonna make a pretty tag, Alright, don't want to use that. Nor that. This one. I'm just gonna put this on the back of it. So how are you guys today? Is anybody sick? Or I know I got a few messages about your husbands having some tests run and scans done, and bless your heart, I know how all of that goes. It's rough. Thank the Lord Melina came through all of her tests with really good. I mean, she's on two medications, but it's something that, you know, they're predicting that can be handled through medication. So we were very, very thankful for that, because we were scared to death that she had the same issues as her dad had with his heart. But hers turns out to be, well, it is partially what he had. He had a rhythm problem with his heart. That's why he had pacemaker defibrillator put in. But hers is more the electronic side of it, like Alicia's is. Alicia has the electronic side, and she's on a beta blocker. And their hearts, just unless the electronic fires, it just doesn't fire right in their hearts. So they're both on beta blockers now. But, you know, the doctor said that he's pretty confident that it can be handled and maintained through the beta blockers. And Alicia's been on beta blockers for years, so she seems to do really well, unless she misses a dose, and then she doesn't do so well. So I told Melina, I said, do not run out of that medicine. She said, I'm not, Mother, I'm not. She said, Brandon reminds me when it's time to go get it filled. I said, just neither one of you needs to run out of that medication. So they do have somewhat what he had, but he had many more issues that they don't have, which we're very thankful for. But so we were so glad. Okay, now that's a lot of blue on blue, but I think I like it. You can, like I said, you can do these any way that you want. They're just quick and easy. And then I just put me a little hole in there, and I make sure that I line them up. And I think I'm just going to use, let's use some of this blue. I think that's kind of a bluish. And this is the chiffon. I think someone told me what this is. And this was sent to me by you guys, so it's not something that I bought, so that's why I don't really know what it is. But I think someone told me that it was called chiffon. But I love it to put in my tags, as well as my crinkle seam binding that I get from my scrap cabin shop. I love that too. So I alternate. I put one time and one the next. Okay. So there's that. And you've got, now this one is a little bit flimsy, but it's okay. So there you've got a tag with a hanging tag. And then we can decorate it up a little bit if we want. I thought I heard somebody outside. Everybody should be gone for the day. I don't think I'm going to use that one. I don't know. I don't mind that little bit of green. Let's see what else we got. These are just some little odd pieces of ephemera that I had laying here. I thought I might use some of those. I put them in this little container because they kept getting strewed all over my desk. I'd like to have a little one too. Let's see. Do I have a little one? Oh, there's a little butterfly. If you hear something, yes, that's my printer printing away. They're sticking to my fingers. Alright, I think I'll go with that. I think that'll work. This is not exactly the color of that background, but it's almost close enough. Now I have to look at these to make sure that I get them the right way up. And I think that one goes that way. I'm just going to put it across there. I'm not going to cover the number up, hopefully. No, Edith, you're putting it upside down. Turn it over. Yes, there we go. Now, that's better. So see, then you can still see all those pretty flowers. And then on this one, I think we're just going to put one of Bethany's numbers on here. There's my number right there. And no, I do not use number 8 on everything. But I try to use it at least one time in each journal that I make. Somewhere in there, you will find the number 8. Unless I just forgot all about it. And I'm thinking I'm going to put this one down here at the bottom. And this is Bethany's number digitals. There's 4 pages and they're 4 different colors. But see how easy? And then you could journal on the back of both of those. That's what I'm saying. They're so easy. Now let me show you some of the other ones. They're not finished printing yet. This one went to the Ko-fi members. So it's kind of a collage French advertising background, and there's more pages to that. It hadn't printed yet. This one went to the Coffee members, and it is like a Victorian style wallpaper. So I thought that was very pretty. And there was 5 pages of that, so that's all 5 pages. And then this is just a few other pages of that one that I gave to the YouTube members. So yes, I do get confused. Sometimes I'll say YouTube members and it'll be something else. And I get confused like everybody else does. Okay, I think on this one we may use this, and then I'm going to use this one to add a little bit different color to the top. Yeah, I have to write all that on my calendar to make sure that I get freebies up for everybody as soon as I possibly get them done. And I have to make myself notes as, okay, this one got their freebie, that one didn't get their freebie. This one needs a freebie, that one doesn't need a freebie. Because my little pea brain can't remember all of it. And you know, my pea brain has shrunk in the last few years. I think you shrink up when you get older, don't you? I don't know if your brain does or not, but mine seems to have. Alicia texted me yesterday afternoon, and she said, "Oh, hallelujah, I don't have to go to work in the morning at 5 o'clock. And I said, "What?" I said, "When did you start a job?" She said, "Mother, I didn't." She said, "I'm talking about following Presley to work." They're still not, you know, she just started driving, so they're still not real confident her driving early in the morning and all the traffic in our town. Because even though our town is a smaller town, it is very busy because we don't have enough roads to take care of all the traffic that we have. We grew way too fast. So they have been taking turns following her. Well, Benji's been out of town, so it all fell on Alicia this week. And Alicia went, "She's off tomorrow. I don't have to go to work at 5 o'clock in the morning." I said, "That reminds you of anything?" She said, "Oh yeah, it reminds me of when I used to work at Steve's Gym." She said, "I had to be there and to open at 5 o'clock every morning." And she said, "I can remember that very well." And when she was at the hospital, she worked in the rehab in the hospital. And when she was there, she had to be there at, like, let's see, I think they opened at 6. So she had to be there at 5:30. And she said, I don't miss those days at all." But Presley is loving her job. She's absolutely loving it. And she's already found a cute boy that likes her. And Alicia said, okay, you're going to quit work. And Prissy said, no, Mother. She said, no flirting at work and no hanging out with boys. And she said, Mom, I don't have time to hang out with anybody. She said, I'm constantly busy. She said, he's just really, really cute. I told Alicia, I said, hey, she's 16, about to be 17, so there's nothing wrong with her thinking boys are cute. I said, just keep your distance, child. She said, well, he's really sweet. Said, he's really shy. She said, all he does is just smiles at me. I said, that's the kind you like, them that's shy. Just keep it going. Oh, me. Chrissy's like, Nanny, how old was you when you had your first boyfriend? I said, you don't even want to ask me that question. Did I? I had one here a minute ago. And she said, well, no, how old was you? I said, well, I had my first crush on a boy when I was 13. But I said, just a crush. I said, my daddy would have killed me if he'd even known I had a crush. It was a boy that I went to church with. And I said, you know, all we ever did was ride in the car together. That was it. But we had his parents in the car too. So, but I said, we might have held hands one time, but that was it. She said, oh, okay. She said, so I'm not so young after all. I said, no, you're not, but you just need to not be in a hurry to get you a boyfriend. Alicia said, thanks a lot, Mother, for telling her that. I said, well, I wasn't going to lie to her. She asked me. She said, Mama, how old was you when you had your first boyfriend? And Alicia said 20. When she was. She didn't, well, she was really 18 because at her high school prom, she went with a guy that she kind of liked, but not really. I mean, they went more as friends than anything, but she, you know, she kind of liked him, not big time, but Alicia was, and Presley was like, why was you so old before you liked boys? And Alicia said, oh, it wasn't that I didn't like them. She said, I liked them. She said, but I was more in love with sports than I was boys. And that's the truth, because she played sports all the time, and she didn't have time for boys. There wasn't a season that went by that she wasn't in some kind of sport. She played basketball. Well, she started off the year with volleyball. She played volleyball till volleyball ended. And then she would go straight from volleyball into basketball. Played that till basketball ended. And then then she played softball in the summer. And then the last 2 years, her junior and senior years, she played on the boys' soccer team. She was the goalie. So she just played sports all the time. And when she come home, that's all she wanted to do is play sport and get out and shoot the basketball. And so she didn't have time for boys. She said, they're a lot of trouble. So she said, I didn't find any boys that liked sports as much as I did, so I would just dump them, which she did. She dumped quite a few. But Presley just couldn't believe that her mama was that old before she had a boyfriend. I think I'll try this purple one. Except it seems to have a little bit of purple lavenderish in it. I don't have any of my seam binding out right this minute that will match this, so that's why I'm going with this. I would alternate, but I don't really have any here at my desk. Now I just tie it one time, but I will end up tying in another one before I put it in the journal. And then these, there we go. So we can put a little bit of something on here to just embellish it a little. Doesn't need a lot, I don't think. I'm seeing a little purplish thing here. Okay, let's just go with that. I'm not going to spend too much time on the embellishing. I can always embellish them when I start to put them in a journal. So let me know in the comments below how old you were when you had your first boyfriend. I know Presley's other grandmother on her dad's side, she was married at 14. Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine. But yeah, they got married when she was 14, and I don't remember how old he was. He was like 18 or 19 or something. But I can't imagine letting my child marry at 14. No, no, no. So I told Presley, I said, don't go by what she did. She said, I'm not, Nene. She said, I can't imagine getting married at 14, which she's older than that now, but goodness, that's just too young. I don't know that I'm going to put that one on there at all. It doesn't look right to me. So there is that one. So we got 3 finished. Like I said, this is a very quick and easy video. These are the other pages that went with the Ko-fi. I love these. Love those roses. And you know I like collage anyway. And the French. Now this French background is not meant to be read, even if you can read French, which I can't. It's just like a jumbled up collage. So, and there's 5 pages of that one too. So if you're one of the YouTube members, Ko-fi members, K-O-F-I, or Coffee, Buy Me a Coffee, go over and check out your freebie. You're welcome to download it and use it. Alright guys, I think that is all I'm going to do today. It's starting to get a little bit dark here again, so we may be in for another little showery storm here in a minute, but just thought I would show you this quick and easy hanging tags. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.